So we're getting escorted into Lumpini Stadium with Sanshine. It's crazy.
Hey, what's up everybody? Shane here with Coach Bob, and today we're going to be talking about 3 form tips that helped me improve my Muay Thai style, and I want to share them with you in hopes that it helps you as well. The first is balance, or what the Thais call balan. Number 2 is keeping the upper body tall, and number 3 is looking through the binoculars. So let's talk a little bit about improving your balan. If you've ever trained in Thailand or trained with a Thai coach, you've probably heard them talk about balance and structure over and over and over again. And I didn't understand the importance of it until I once heard Liam Harrison say that he noticed that Americans stand a little bit too wide, or generally they just stand wider than Thais or people that he's used to training with. When I heard that, I noticed that I was a little too heavy on my front leg, and when I pulled some of that weight into the back leg and narrowed up my stance, not only was I able to defend against low kicks better, but I was able to just understand the range a little bit more. Now, when it comes to balance, if Bob were to throw one of these heavy kicks that he's known for throwing at me, and I were to check, but it knocks me off balance, in traditional Thai scoring, Muay Thai scoring, he's still going to get a point. Even though he hit my shin and it didn't hit the intended target, since he knocked me off balance, it still counts as a scored kick. So, in order to stay balanced and structured, instead you want to narrow up that stance so that my head is over a support foot, right? If my feet are wide and I lift my leg up to check, I'm going to fall back down. There's no way that I can stay in position here if I'm top heavy and I'm not standing over my support foot. But if I narrow my stance up a little bit more, now when I lift my leg up to check, my head is directly over this foot. Maybe I have to then switch to the other side. My head is now directly over the same foot. So narrowing up the stance, even though it may seem like being tall is less structured or less balanced, in Muay Thai you'll notice that they stand very narrow with the feet together. Now this is a sort of style here, right? Keeping the weight on the back leg and playing the teep game and checking, right? And sliding in to close the distance off, whereas maybe if I'm more of a Muay mat or a heavy puncher, then maybe I'm gonna have a little bit more weight on the front leg, bit of a wider stance so I can step into shots. However, if you're fighting someone who's a very good technician, a Muay Thai, and they can keep you at bay, they can ole you, they can keep you off balance with long kicks and teeps and things like that, you have to keep this into consideration. You do have to be able to adjust on the fly. In fact, another seminar that I took was with Joe Nattawut, and he said he noticed the same thing with the wide stance. He spoke specifically about the switch kick, and he said he noticed that a lot of Americans, when they switch, they bring this switch leg way too far back. Wasted time, wasted distance. He said when you switch and you kick, and he has plenty of knockouts with this kick, he said it doesn't even have to go past this leg, where this leg is. So he kind of does it to where he just squares it up, goes in line with this leg, and then fires it right from here. So it looks like this. Your kick's going to be much quicker doing that, and your balance is going to be there as well. So don't be too wide, don't get too low or widen up your stance too much when you do the switch kick. Keep it a little bit more narrow. This next tip I call keeping the upper body tall, and this is one that I learned from a seminar with Ognjen Topic that he did at Boxing Works years ago. And when we were going through one of the combos, he said, Shane, you got to keep your upper body tall. And what I noticed was when I was throwing high kicks, I would lean back like this. And it was a lack of flexibility, not in the hips and the legs, but rather in the side body, in the obliques. And it's a form of mobility, it's a form of strength, it's a form of flexibility to be able to throw a kick and keep the upper body tall. Not only does that generate more power because there's more going into it rather than half of my body fading away and it becoming just a leg kick, but I also now have more options of what I can do afterwards, right? A lot of people will challenge this and say, yeah, but your head's closer to the target. Well, now I have the option to lean away if I ever have to. If I see something's coming in as I'm throwing it, then I can lean. But I can't start back here and then pull myself up in the middle of a kick, all right? If I'm falling backwards, that's the only direction I'm gonna go. But very common counter to, let's say, a switch kick to the body is Bob's going to throw this right hand. If I'm just fading away, I'm delaying the inevitable. It's still going to come and it's going to hit me. But if I keep my upper body tall, I see that punch coming, and now I can change my direction. I can slip to the outside. I can decide and dictate where I'm going because I have more balance, because my head is over a support foot, and now I can choose what's my follow-up attack or what's my follow-up movement, okay? If I'm always fading away, then that's the only direction I have to go. So don't limit yourself by always leaning back. Start to develop this. Start to build up the oblique muscles, the core, the low back, so that when you throw your kicks, you can stay tall, you can stay structured, you can check, you can go right into knees, and what have you, and then also have the ability or the option to go in any direction afterwards. Now let's move up. We talked about the feet, we talked about the upper body. I want to talk about the guard now. Eyes up here, everybody, all right? We're going to talk about the guard now. So where I position my hands, I changed after watching, I believe it was Chris Algieri versus Errol Spence Jr., where the commentators kept saying that Algieri, when he's against the ropes, he keeps looking through the binoculars, and that's getting him in trouble. And they were talking about the high guard. And they were saying it's getting him in trouble because he can't see round shots. He can only see down the center. And Algieri is known as being a long fighter. Really good jab, really good footwork, and he likes keeping people on the outside. How to beat him is you got to get him up against the ropes. You got to get him showing up, and then just attack wide body to the head. That's what Errol Spence did, and beat him pretty unanimously in that fight and finished him. So I wanted to take the positive from that, of thinking about looking through the binoculars. I started playing on the outside, and I noticed that my guard was getting penetrated a lot. I was getting caught with shots that I felt like I should have been able to parry, been able to block or catch. So what I realized watching film of myself is my hands rested a little bit too low. What I thought was keep your guard up. I thought it was cheek level, but people were punching literally over my hands. Maybe they were a little bit taller, or they just had a nice direct punch, and I would then have to lift my arm up to block or catch, which just makes it a two-step process, whereas if my hands are already here and they punch, I just go forward or almost even a little bit down. And my defense seemed to be much better by doing that. So now I'm combining everything. I've got my feet a little bit more narrow. I'm keeping my upper body tall. And I got my binoculars. I'm looking through the binoculars here so that I can catch punches. And also I'm landing punches more because I'm not punching up into their guard. I can paw over their guard when I throw my punches. So I'm punching directly from my eyebrows. And I like to think about gluing my index fingers on the eyebrows. I can peek through the binoculars and throw here. Now, if I'm on the outside, I can still see round shots coming. I can see hooks, I can see roundhouse kicks, because these binoculars that I've got on here, they're wide range. And I also like flaring the pinkies out so that I'm not covering my vision. All right, so I go here, my thumbs are on the side of my face, index fingers on my eyebrows, pinkies flared out, so now I can see everything that's coming. So I sort of adjusted the idea of shelling up against the ropes and just praying that nothing doesn't fit through, and I opened it up a little bit here. Now you may be thinking, well, with the elbows out, your body is open. Well, this is one that I learned from the wooden man, Jang Sanan. He would say he would intentionally fight like this because he would invite and bait the body shots. He liked catching kicks. He liked checking here and trying to break people's toes with his shin. So if they were to teep down the center, if they were to throw round kicks, if they were to attack the body, he invited it all day long. So now we're talking a little bit more tactics and less about form, but this is another thing that you can bait or control your opponent by, God, hit me in the body. I want you to go to the body because I like catching kicks. I like sweeping. I like following up. Or I like marching forward so that I can grab you and land my knees. Okay, so it really comes down to what are you trying to achieve here? Can you trick them into thinking they have an opening, they see an opening, because you're going to exploit it? Now you're starting to think 2 steps ahead. Now you're playing chess instead of checkers. Be sure to subscribe because the next video that we have coming out, we're going to focus on 4 strategies that really helped improve my game, and I think they're going to help you as well. All right, there you have it. I hope that these tips helped you as much as they have helped me, and if they have, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can get the fight tips before your opponent does. As mentioned, we do have more videos coming out talking more about tactics and strategies that will help you out for sparring and competition. Until next time, I'm Shane. This is Bob. Fight tips for the underdogs.